Uh, Good morning, everyone. This is Mars. I've been incommunicado for a while. I've had some health problems, so I'm getting back on my feet. I'm currently on dialysis, so waiting for a kidney transplant, hopefully sometime. But I'm out of work, so I've got a lot of time. I've been working on my comics and stuff, so I want to show off a few recent finds, mostly vintage stuff I found really cheap. There's no real theme today, so I've been going through bargain boxes, and the other day I hit a 3 for $1 box over at Slackers, which is a used video game place in the St. Louis area, and I found some neat older books, so I'll show a few of these here now. This House of Mystery. There's Looney Tunes. These Dells I like if I can find them cheap. You know, I wouldn't pay guide price for them, but if I can find them, 3 for $1, I'll certainly pick them up. Korak. Casper. I love Harveys. I will pay a guide price for some certain Harveys. For some reason, I really love Harveys. Bugs Bunny. Some Daffy Duck. Again, these are all 3 for $1. So these are pretty cool. Hot Stuff. I love Hot Stuff. I used to have a pretty good collection of Hot Stuff. I sold it after my divorce. That's another thing I'm going to try to get back into. And Boris Karloff. I like to get a big run of Boris Karloff too, but they're kind of hard to find in just shops anyway. So yeah, it's the cat. Issue of Flintstones. Issue of Gorgo. This is a post-Ditko Gorgo, so no Steve Ditko art in this one. Baby Huey, another favorite Harvey character of mine. I love Harvey because they had what Little Lotta, anything goes. A fat kid, was a comic book character. No PC days back then. Kona, Monarch of Monster Isle. I'm going to read this. I look forward to this. This issue of Tomahawk with a giant tree monster. I used to have some Tomahawk. These are fun books to read. And the one I really appreciated finally getting was this classic illustrated issue of Frankenstein. I've always seen it in the guide. I always wanted it just because I'm a big monster fan. And here it was, 33 cents. So, not bad shape. It's about a very good plus or a fine. So, those were cool to find. Magazines. I went to a toy show. I think I bought a bunch of comics, and I bought this magazine. I got this for $4. Screen Thrill. Phil's Illustrated, which is a Warren, title. And it dealt with like serials and comedy teams and action heroes and stuff from the golden age of Hollywood. So I need another 3 or 4 issues of Screen Thrills. This I bought off of eBay. World Famous Creatures. There are 4 issues of World Famous Creatures, and this is noteworthy because it was published in the late 50s. So it was an early competitor to Famous Monsters. And they're very hard to come by, and they're usually very expensive. But I talked this guy down to $35 for issue 4, so that's a pretty good deal. So that's my first issue, and it's given me the kind of the impetus to go ahead and hunt down the other 3, which I'll be doing soon. And this, I got at Half Price Books for $5. My Half Price Books has a little shelf tucked in the corner on the bottom where they have just some miscellaneous magazines. Now, I always check it just in case I find a Famous Monsters or something. But they usually have like a few 90s issues of Cracked and Mad. And tucked away here was the first issue of Trump, Harvey Kurtzman's magazine after he left Mad. And I opened up, make sure it wasn't a reprint or something, and it's all complete. And it's in, not bad shape. It's about a good plus. So for $5, I was thrilled to find that. Now I'm going to have to get the issue 2, which is much harder to find. So, and finally, I don't think I've shown these. I usually show my bound volumes when I get them back from the bindery. And I don't think I've shown these off. These arrived a few months ago. I know I put it on Facebook, but I don't think I did on my YouTube channel. So, I got 4 more bound volumes. This is Movie Monsters. This is Atlas Comics. Their monster magazine. And as you can see, the back, you see different images. What I've done is I've got the 4 issues of Movie Monsters in here, and then I went ahead and included the rest of the comic magazines, except for Gothic Romances, which I can't find, and I don't want to pay a whole bunch of money for just to have it, you know, because it's just text. So there's this issue 4 Movie Monsters, all 4 issues. This is the only issue of Movie Monsters I bought off the rack when I was a kid. I found that, and then Atlas was no more. But let's see, after this issue 4, here's Devilina, which is kind of like their version of Vampirella. There's 2 issues of Devilina. Let's see if I can show you the other cover. If I can find it without turning it up. There's really nice work in here. There's Devilina 2. That's a little harder to find than the first issue. Then after Devilina, I've got Thrilling Adventure Stories, which has some work like I know by Neil Adams and Howard Chaykin in here. All these other comic magazines were really good. They could stand with what Warren was doing at the time. I mean, there's no Wrights or Corbin, but you know, they were, I think, a cut above the really even Skywald, you know, at that area. Sorry, it's a little earthquake here. I'm doing this by hand, as you can tell. So there's issue 2 with a nice Neil Adams cover. And you can see they have like a movie review of The Towering Inferno. I think issue 1 had some spy movie or something. Right? Let's see. So we'll go through that. Tough Cop. There's the Towering Inferno article, which was, I guess, pretty concurrent at the time it was published. Finally, Weird Tales of the Macabre. 2 issues of this. There's a nice Jeff Jones cover here. So, and this was a good magazine. There's some pretty good stories in here. So there's issue 1, and finally issue 2. So that's what this volume consists of. Okay, there's 3 more. Spaceman. This was Forey Ackerman's science fiction magazine. It came out in the early 60s. It lasted, I think, 8 or 10 issues with an annual. This was a nice magazine. It was a companion for Famous Monsters, and it dealt with science fiction films. So, you know, Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, that type of thing. And there's some... Basil Gogos, I think, did this first cover, if I can open it. Yeah, that's a Basil Gogos cover. And I think it was meant at the time to be a little more literate than Famous Monsters was, maybe written for a little more mature reader. But it's a good magazine, and they're kind of hard to find. To complete a full run takes a little bit of effort. So these used to be advertised in the mid-'70s when I was buying Famous Monsters off the rack. They would advertise these issues, you know, a couple back issues in the Captain Company pages, and it took years and years before I ever actually found an issue in the wild. So most of these issues are put together through eBay or mail order. But it's a nice magazine, and it has not as many puns as Forey would use in Famous Monsters. So, but another quality Warren magazine. I love Warren. Arguably my favorite publisher. So, yeah, let's see. I think there's an annual here at the back. And I want to, you know, even though it's just a reprint of the stuff, yeah, here's the 1965 yearbook. So, even though this is just a reprint of, you know, articles in the rest of the magazine for completeness sake, I would have included it in the bind. So, that's Spaceman. Okay, Haunt of Horror. This bind completes my Marvel Horror Mag bind, with the exception of Tomb of Dracula, the late 70s Tomb of Dracula. In my mind, it's kind of an outlier of Marvel Horror, because it wasn't with that first big batch of magazines that came along in 72, 73, 74. But this was a short run. This is only, I think, 5 issues in Haunt of Horror. Haunt of Horror started out as a digest-sized text magazine, and I guess that didn't sell very well. I don't have any of those, but they went to comics, and these stories are pretty much interchangeable with what you might find in Vampire Tales or Monsters Unleashed, that kind of thing. But again, one of my favorite magazines. I love all these Marvel horror magazines. So I've got all of Tomb of Dracula, and that'll be bound soon. I've got everything 70s in that first wave. I've got the full run of Savage Tales. That's going to be a project here in the very near future. And I'm going to put together 1 or 2 volumes of Savage Sword of Conan. I don't need all of them, but the first 15 or 20 issues are kind of in my sweet spot. So I'll get those bound. This is actually an issue of Marvel Preview, which has a lot of inventory that was left over from when Haunt of Horror was canceled. And I've thrown some odd title in the back here. I'm not even sure what it is. I've tried to include all the horror themed. Oh yeah, Masters of Terror. Yeah, that's what I put in here. It's 2 issues of Masters of Terror. I think these are all reprints. But it's a very good magazine. It's got stuff stored by Lovecraft, H.G. Wells. I bought these off the rack when I was a kid. I remember finding them at a Hallmark store, issue 1 in a Hallmark store. So Masters of Terror is in here, and let's see if I've got something else in the back. It feels like I must have, but I don't even remember. Okay, yeah, Masters of Terror, the Marvel Preview issue. I think this is, yeah, Hodiah Twist, which I think is like Sherlock Holmes, Marvel's version of Sherlock Holmes. So that's in there, and I guess that's it. Okay. And finally, I think as a highlight of this series of bound volumes is the Warren Yearbooks. I've got all the creepy, eerie, and the Soul Vampirella yearbook back when they had their own titles. Later, Warren would just fold them into the regular issue number, just call it a fear book, like 144 might be a yearbook or something. But the really good stuff, the older stuff, they publish as separate publications. So I've got all of these in here, and this is just, this is just a honeypot of great art. Frazetta's in here, and Neil Adams, and everybody who was anybody in that first golden age of Warren Publishing. Most of the stories, of course, are by Archie Goodwin, which means they're terrific. Archie was one of the really unsung heroes of comics. Just a terrific writer. He died much too young. So here's the creepies. I've done them alphabetically. I got all the creepy annuals, and then I go to the eerie annuals. Let's see here. He's got to be right here. Yeah, there's Cousin Eerie. So all the eerie annuals are in here. I think they all go up to like 72. So the Eries, and then finally the Lone Vampirella yearbook, which has an original story in this. I think it's the origin of Vampirella. So anyway, that's that. So those go on the shelf. Right now I've got the Famous Monsters yearbook at the bindery, and something else and a bunch of comics. So when they come in, I'll post a video. Anyway, I wanted to just say thanks for sticking around. I want to shout out to AFTA Comics. He said some very nice things in my in some of my videos. He's been, he kind of is impressed by my Monster Magazine collection. Let me tell you, I haven't seen the best collection I've seen is from AFTA Comics. If you haven't seen any of his videos, definitely go check him out. He's got some stuff that will just blow your mind. He told me he's almost done with his Monster Times, and I'm almost done too. I think he said he is done. I need about 6 or 7 more issues of Monster Times, and that was like, I think, my favorite of the 70s era magazines. Anyway, I'm about out of time. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.